All right, guys, welcome back to the Z-Ice Show with your host, Z-Ice. Today we have an amazing episode planned out with Steve, so let's welcome him to the stage. All right, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Z. Appreciate it.
Yeah, how you doing today?
Good. A little busy these days, but that's a good thing. It's always I'd rather be busy than bored and not busy, right?
Yep. All right, so what business are you in?
I have been in banking a little over 32 years, so that's what I've been doing. I've done a couple of different things here and there, but the majority of my career has been in banking.
All right, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what about banking do you do? Like, what's your
Uh, sure. I am a branch manager, and what I do is I quarterback a team of bankers here, and it's really our job to I work at City National, so it's our job to put the power of City National's financial capabilities in the hands of our clients. So that could be personal banking, business banking, mortgages, commercial loans, business loans, all types of things, and including their wealth management and retirement planning and things like that. We kind of handle everything nuts to bolts. City National is a private bank, so we tend to cater to high net worth individuals, but we have clients that bank with us with all levels of income and net worth.
all right? So, how did you get into banking? Like, is there somebody that inspired you, or did you like never even think you'd get into banking?
I was I always had fun with numbers and math and things like that. I was actually working for I was 18 years old, 19 years old. I was working for my uncle at the time at a lingerie manufacturing company. And once in a while, he would ask me to take his deposits to the bank for him for the day. Back in the early 90s, there was no online banking or the ability to make deposits virtually or anything like that. Most banks barely had ATM machines back then. So I had to drive the deposits to the bank. And one of the branches happened to be near my girlfriend's home in Granada Hills. And I said, I'll just go to that branch instead of the normal branch I go to. And when I walked in to make the deposits, I really liked the feel, the atmosphere, the people there that were just, a lot of good vibes and things like that. And I asked them if they were hiring. And they said, sure. So I ended up applying for a part-time teller position at the age of 19. And I was making $7.25 an hour. And that's where it took off. And I started getting promoted quickly and up. And now here I am. I'm here actually, I was a regional manager for different banks before too. I was managing 18 branches, but I enjoy being a branch manager, kind of sitting in one place, meeting clients all the time. As a regional manager, I didn't get to meet with clients as much. I was mostly managing the branches. So this way I get to interact with my clients and have a lot of clients that have become friends. I have dinners with my clients. Been invited to parties. In fact, today I had another client just invite me to his house for a pool party in a couple of weeks,
Oh, wow.
for a barbecue and pool party. So that's what I enjoy, and that's one of the
Yeah,
relationships I make are really important.
yeah, that's awesome. So something I asked everybody on this show is from an entrepreneurial aspect. If you had to restart with $1,000, what would you do with it?
If I had $1,000 to do what to start a business, you mean?
Yeah, to start like to go back to where you are. Like, what would you do with $1,000? Like, you have nothing else, just $1,000.
Back then, you mean?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good question. So if I had $1,000, you know what? I probably would have started my retirement account a lot sooner than I did. I got a late start. I was kind of a irresponsible spender in my younger years, and I would make money, and I would say, okay, I'm making more money now. Let me go buy another car or lease another car or whatever it was. And if I had $1,000, I would have put that in. If back then, if knowing what I know now, if I was back then, I would have started a retirement account sooner, and I would be able to retire earlier, and then drive whatever car I want when I retire. But I didn't think about that when I was younger.
Yeah, so banking is super interesting, and there's a bunch of different like accounts you can make, and everything you can do a bunch of different things with your money.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
what tips do you have about banking? Like, say I wanted to open an account, like what tips do you have?
Well, I would think the biggest tip, a lot of banks will give you a credit card on top of your bank accounts and things like that. The biggest tip that I still to this day I tell my clients is don't charge more on a credit card than what you have in your bank account. So all these things that you see now, the Affirm, buy now, pay later, all that kind of stuff is just detrimental to your budget, your finances, things like that. Only spend and buy on credit what you can afford to pay off every month. Don't buy something in the hopes of, oh, someday I'll pay off my credit card. You'll never pay off that debt. It'll just never happen. The credit cards are meant to prevent you from paying them off, right? When you have 20, 30% interest rates, if you're only making the minimum payment, you're going to be in that debt for a long time unless you come into some huge money where you have some windfall to pay off that debt. So the biggest tip, don't spend more on credit than what you have in your bank account.
Yeah, I did not know that about credit cards. So, like, what's the interest rate on them usually?
Yeah, yeah. Like I mentioned, sometimes they're 20 to 30% right now. So if you figure you charge $100 on let's just say you charge $1,000 on a credit card, and you can't afford to pay it off at the end of the month, right? You say, "Well, I'm only going to make the minimum payment." The minimum payment might be $50.
Yeah.
Well, you still have $950 left, and they're going to charge interest on that $950 at 30% annual rate. So that is quite a bit.
Yeah.
Right. So if it was $1,000, you're looking at an extra $300 on top of that $1,000 that you
So,
owe. So you buy something for $1,000, thinking, well, I don't have to pay for it right now. I'll pay for it later. Well, that $1,000 item could cost you $1,400.
wow. So, yeah. So banking is crazy, and I've known like money has like been less valuable over the years. So like 25 cents could get you so much back in the days. Now, $10 or $5 can barely get you anything.
Yeah.
So have you seen that in banking? Like how money is like getting a bit, or USD is getting a little bit less valuable?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with inflation, right? Things that you could have, like you said, things you could have bought a year ago. I mean, look at groceries are up 20, 30%, right? So unless you're making more money, your buying power has been diminished. Your buying power
Mm-hmm.
has gone down. So that, a lot of people are eating out less and less because it's so expensive.
Do you
Um,
think that the US dollar is going to get weaker? Like, you think that it's going to go even
that
lower?
I couldn't I couldn't tell you that because that's I don't have a crystal ball for that, unfortunately. I wish I did know. If I knew that, I would invest and do things differently with today, right? We don't know that, unfortunately. But could it get weaker? Yes. Could it get stronger? Of course. Anything could happen. We
Yeah,
have to kind of
it's just
hope.
really cool. How
Yeah.
like, and it even used to be from like gold coins to now gold is like $2,000. So it's
Gold is a
crazy
great
how much money
investment.
it's made.
Yeah, gold, if you can afford it, gold is a great investment. I mentioned earlier when I got my first job in banking, I was getting 7.25 an hour. Where today in California, employees at a McDonald's or any fast food restaurant now, the minimum that they get paid is $20 an hour. So we're talking, 30 years later, minimum wage has gone up so much. But even that $20 an hour, what happens is McDonald's says, well, if we have to pay you $20 an hour, we can't afford to sell a Big Mac for what we've been selling it for. So now they raise the price of the Big Macs or the food to make up for the extra money they're paying to their employees because of that minimum wage. And so that employee that couldn't afford the Big Mac before they got the raise still can't afford the Big Mac today because the price of the Big Mac went up to pay them. So it's a vicious economic cycle that we think by paying people more, they can afford to buy more. But what happens is when you pay people more, those employers that are paying their employees more have to raise their prices to make up for that extra expense. that's what's causing a lot of this inflation too. Is the more we increase pay for folks, for people, prices go up. That's just natural. That's economics.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so interesting, like how money is changing and how prices go up and down. It's really cool, like to look at, like if you have chance to look at it and like watch podcasts or like documentaries about it. It's just really cool.
It is
So
cool. It's also could be scary too when you see
it
it, right?
can.
You start looking for jobs right now, and a lot of people can't. Look at all the homeless population. They can't afford,
Yeah.
even if they have a job, they can't afford to rent an apartment.
Yeah. I've been reading a lot of things about AI, and I've been seeing like a lot of these apps that are banking. Do you think that those are gonna like be the next thing, or do you think that in the next 5 years is they gonna change from like banks to apps, or what do you think?
Well, it's a great question, Z. AI is definitely not going away, at least anytime soon. I have another acronym for, or another saying for AI. I call it the anti-intelligence sometimes, but nevertheless, no, it's definitely here to stay. And could it take over some banking functions? Absolutely, it already has. A lot of things are done remotely, but what it can't really do is that personal service, that personal touch. Right? An AI is not going to go to a client's house for a barbecue or a swim party and talk to them and be there and learn about their family and things like that. And it may not handle complex banking needs that somebody might have, right? They need
Mhm.
advice. Could it give them that advice? Maybe, maybe not. Is it accurate? You'll never know.
Yeah.
But
And
after
like what
two,
happened the other day, it went down. So there's a chance that it can also go down. And what
right,
happens to your money if it goes down?
it did. We were affected by it, like every other bank. Clients couldn't take money out of their account that day, and they can maybe go to the ATM, get a few $100s, but we
Yeah.
couldn't we couldn't wire money out. They couldn't get a cashier's check.
One
Uh,
small code. One
it's
small code can change it.
one little hiccup, and that's when the human aspect comes into play, right? We were able to ease our clients' minds and say, assure them that your money is safe, everything's fine. It's just a technical situation. By the end of the day on Friday, we were pretty much, for the most part, back up. I had to come in Saturday to do a few updates on the computers, but other than that, Monday morning was business as usual for us.
All right, that's awesome. And I just want to thank you so much for being on this podcast. I've learned a lot, and this was just a great
Sure.
episode. So thank you so much for joining me.
Anytime. My pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Z. I appreciate it. Good luck to you and great job doing this. It's really important for kids your age and even kids older than you to learn this stuff because I know 17, 18-year-olds that still don't understand finances. I'll part with this. I had one customer who opened a brand new account. I think she was 19. She got a checkbook. Everybody knows what a checkbook is for the most part. Not too many people write checks
Mhm.
anymore, but this was maybe 5 years ago. And then she overdrew her account, which means that she went negative in her checking account. And when she came to the bank and she asked me, "Why am I negative? I still have checks left." Well, the checks
Oh no.
don't represent how much money you have in your account. It's not like dollar
Yeah.
bills, right? I still have dollars in my wallet. You have money, but if you have checks left, just
Yeah.
because it's a piece of paper that you still have left doesn't mean you have enough money in your account. So
Exactly.
learn how to budget, learn how to manage your expenses, learn how to manage your bank account. Keep your eye on the money.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Z. Appreciate it.
All
Take
right.
care.
Bye. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow so you guys don't miss out anymore. And I'll see you guys on the next one.